So that little bird that's singing in the willows there is a sedge warbler. Now that sedge warbler is on its way back to Europe, having spent the winter in Africa. It will have spent the winter in reed beds around marshy areas in Senegal and Gambia. It's now coming back, passed through southern Europe, through the Mediterranean, and arrived here on Bardsey this morning. It's obviously a male, he's singing away, and we get a few of these actually stay on Bardsey and breed, usually in the reed bed at Carreg and the new reed bed down at Tipetla. But this one's probably just passing through. So there's been about 10 of them singing this morning. We've got quite a lot of sand martins flying around again, and I'll try and get some little video clips and photographs of the sand martins if I can't get any video clips, and some more bird song. So I've come down below the observatory into the lowlands, into these willow beds here now that we call the withies, and this is Plas Withy. There's Plas House, so this is the withy bed that would have belonged to Plas when the island was farmed by many different farmers. There's Carreg, and there's a little withy bed about there, and they would have used the willow to make lobster pots, and as I say, each of the houses would have had one Christin withy, which is over there, is the biggest of the three withies. Beyond that is Tipetla withy. Christin has got two houses. So it's a semi-detached house, which is the lodge now, the home of the observatory. Plas is a detached house, so the withy here is obviously smaller, doesn't need to support the size that the two farms of Christin require. But down in the withies are all these bluebells, and we've got quite a little cluster of bluebells here, and at this time of year they're a very important resource for these little bees. And you can see the bees feeding away or collecting pollen and nectar. Going up to this one here. Still got quite a few sand martins flying around us. There's a lot of sand martins moving north at the moment, and then behind us, in amongst this patch of regenerating gorse, George and Emma George is trying to photograph the sand martins, but they're here looking at one of Bardsey's rarer plants, the small adder's tongue fern. So I've got to get right down on my belly to be able to show you these. So they're tiny, tiny little ferns. And you can just see so if I show you there, that is one of the ferns. You can see the leaves of them, a whole load of them around here. It's all these little green leaves. So, and then you can see up on the mountain, I know I've mentioned this several times, but this year the gorse is looking really, really nice and all flowering. And out here on the west coast, we've got a lot of regenerating gorse. So this is European gorse that's all over here. Up on the mountain there's a lot of European gorse, and then up here on this sort of little dark bit there's a lot of western gorse and bell heather up there, as well as Kaluna heather up there on the sort of lowland heath. But yeah, this area of gorse has been mown and managed over the past few years, and it's not been mown now for a couple of years, and it's starting to regenerate, starting to look really, really good. There's quite a lot of bees that are feeding on the gorse flowers, and we've got wrens nesting in it. There's meadowpipits in the sort of grasslands between the clumps of gorse. They're getting a little bit of shelter. It smells absolutely beautiful. It's all sort of coconutty, and so in these sort of bigger clumps we've got the odd pair of stone chats. So once it matures, it becomes quite an important habitat for species like stone chat and linnet. And you can see on the mountain, the gorse is looking great. There's still a bit on Pencristin, and then down on the south end I showed you the other day, there's a lot down there. The gorse at the south end this morning had got lots of migrants in, and there's a pair of stone chats, quite a few pairs of wrens down there that are nesting in it. I think in the gorse up above the observatory, there's a pair of stone chats up there. There's a pair of stone chats in the gorse above Tipethla, and if this matures again, we expect to see stone chats nesting back here on the west side of the island. But the island is looking really, really fantastic at the moment. The place is just lush. We've got a few linnets just flying over in front of us, and there's another swallow heading south. Now, swallows heading south in spring seems a bit crazy, but we have this idea, this hypothesis, that we have quite a strong passage of swallows that do go south in spring, and they sort of go south and west. And what we think is happening is the birds basically track up Cardigan Bay, come round the Llŷn Peninsula, then they get to the mainland. You can just see the mainland there. Get to the mainland, to the tip of the peninsula, come over Bardsey, and then head out south and west, and they're going out to Ireland. So rather than having to make the sea crossing from, say, Pembrokeshire or Ceredigion and cross that extra sort of 60 to 80 miles of sea, they prefer to take the longer trip around Cardigan Bay, come out here, and then take the shortest sea crossing from here across to Wicklow, and then move and distribute into Ireland that way. It's not fact, it's a working hypothesis we have, but we don't see any other reason for swallows to be heading out south and west in spring. And in autumn we regularly get swallows heading north, and we see them coming in from the west, usually not so many down coming directly from the south, but coming in from the southwest, hitting the west coast of Bardsey, tracking north and then across to the mainland. And again, we assume they then track around Cardigan Bay, heading east and south, and then across Wales, across England, and down over France that way, rather than taking the longer crossing across the Irish Sea, across the Celtic Sea, into South Wales, and then from South Wales they could get across to Cornwall, and then down onto the Iberian Peninsula, down to Spain. But they'd much prefer to be passing overland. And you can just see these birds, there's some going north and we've got some going south. And some people may ask, how do you know that they're actually not the same birds going round in circles? Well, if you stand on the coast long enough, you can actually watch them flying out to sea. And Sam and George have just come from the north end, and they said a lot of the San Martins are actually flying off the south end, off the north end. They've come from the north end, and they can see them flying off the north end out to sea. So I've just seen a meadow pipit come up from here. I'm just looking to see if there's a nest, but I can't see one, obviously. So just in case there is one, I won't spend too much time disturbing it and let it get back to its nest. So we're just going to continue wandering around and see what else we can find. There's been not a huge amount today, but more sedge warblers than in the past day or two. George had 3 common sandpipers, and I think he said they were on the west coast. Then he had one on Solvach. There were 20 odd purple sandpipers. We've got a couple of wheatears here that are just coming past us. And then Sam caught a few blackcaps, a few sedge warblers this morning. There was a grasshopper warbler singing at Nant again. So yeah, it's been another nice day. Oh, we've just had a red kite as well. That's the 3rd red kite that we've had this spring so far. This one was a molting adult. It got a lot of its secondaries missing, so those are the inner wing feathers. So right, we shall continue our walk. So a couple of days ago I was down here on the south end, and I showed, it's a pretty rubbish bit of video, but I showed a single piece of thrift down here in Ogofa Stuffleglass, and this was, as I say, 2 days ago. And come round to a different position now. You can see just there, ooh, just there, that was the first piece of thrift, and now 2 days later you can see all these little clumps of pink flowers starting to appear. So in a few weeks' time, all this area here in front of us will probably end up going pink with all the thrift. Certainly a lot of these areas. There's more swallows heading through. Don't know if I got those. But yeah, all this area will go pink. Just this little patch here, we'll try and find thrift clearwing in early June and do a video of some of those. We don't have many thrift clearwings on here. They're an exceedingly rare moth. You only get them in about 20 10-kilometre squares in the whole of the UK. So this is one of them, and we've actually got 4 of the 20 10-kilometre squares here on Bardsey, because we've got an intersection of 4 10k squares, and we've got 4 of the 20. It's a very rare little moth, a beautiful little thing, but very, very tiny. Anyway, more about those in June. So yeah, we'll just coming around the south end, and we've had about 20 wimbrels. There's Emma just sitting there soaking up the sun. It's once again absolutely flat calm. Well, it's not flat calm, the sea's calm. There's a little bit of northerly breeze. You can often hear it in the microphone, but it's just beautiful. Blue skies, very, very light wispy cloud, but that is just a wonderful view. So that little bee I was filming just there is feeding on this patch of spring squill on the south end. So if we get down here and zoom out a little, you can see this lovely little blue maritime flower. It's so nice, and the south end is going to start filling up with this little blue flower and looking very, very pretty. So we've just got back from the south end, and there's still sand martins flying around and swallows. There's a flock of about 30 wimbrels down on the south end, and sedge warblers singing in the reed bed there, in that little Phragmites reed bed. And again, it looks like we're in for another beautiful sunset. Right, one of the advantages of having an outside toilet, and there are not many advantages of having an outside toilet, especially in the autumn and winter when it's generally horrible and raining, but at this time of year, in spring, is that just before going to the bed, when we go to the loo, we get the wonderful sound of the Manx shearwaters flying around over the observatory. And I don't know if you can actually hear any. There's quite a lot flying around, making quite a bit of noise. It's gone quiet now. When I first came out a couple of minutes ago, it was really noisy with birds flying over the top. But I'll try and be a bit quieter. I'll stop talking and maybe try and record a bit of the sound. I may put in an external microphone and just record some of the sound and attach it to the video afterwards, but it is really, really lovely. It's really dark. There's quite a few stars just showing through the light cloud, and there's all these Manxes calling. So it's a wonderful end to a wonderful day. We've had quite a good passage of sand martins, as you'll see in the earlier videos. Black kite that flew north very briefly earlier, came up off the side, off from the side of the mountain, and just disappeared straight off north. We only saw it for about 30 seconds to a minute. There's a flock of 30 wimbrels on the south end. Absolutely fantastic sunset, and now this Manx shearwater noise just before bedtime. Right, good night everyone.